Admit it, you've never seen anything in sci-fi as influential as the 2009 Avatar. Talk about a cultural reset. What's more is, it's coming back with a sequel in December, and the trailer's got everyone talking. Stay tuned because we'll be exploring exactly what the main villain's identity may be in Avatar 2, right here in this video. Let's jump in. It's been a long time coming. First off, let's be clear. For a movie that big, there was always going to be a sequel. The creators of Avatar announced a second movie back in 2010, just a year after the first one's release. They sure were in a rush to make announcements, but took their sweet time actually making the movie. It's been 12 years for crying out loud. But hey, quality does take time. Since there's a decade-long gap between the two movies, that's obviously reflected in the storyline. Well, as much as we know of it, it's a new dawn, and Jake's built a life on Pandora with Neytiri. The teaser doesn't tell us a whole lot about what to expect, but when you think about it, that's what a trailer is for. We do get glimpses of Jake and Neytiri's mixed kids, and it's adorable, but there's danger lurking around, and it might be closer than you'd think. Next we have the Na'vi conflict. In true Hollywood trailer fashion, the second Avatar teaser is full of spliced action moments. You catch glimpses of Na'vi armed with spears and daggers, fighting off something we can't see. This is pretty good reason to believe that there's going to be conflicts between Na'vi tribes themselves. Though they all look pretty similar, these tensions could be ideological, pretty relatable as humans, honestly. We do the same thing on Earth. Remember Quaritch, the military general who tried to cut down the Tree of Souls? Yeah, he did get murked with 2 arrows to the chest, but that doesn't mean his story's finished. James Cameron, the director, has confirmed in interviews that Quaritch will return in the second movie. How big of a role he has, that's in the air for now. Well, there's a Na'vi male in the teaser who suspiciously looks a lot like him. He's got the same military buzz cut and bicep tattoo. Come on, the resemblance is uncanny. This also leads us to believe that the antagonist might just be a Na'vi, but not in the way you would expect. And now for Quaritch, a Na'vi? That's right, folks. Let's run it back. In the first movie, we find out the RDA can transfer human consciousness into a Na'vi body. That's how Jake's a Na'vi now, living his best life on Pandora. All of that. Keeping this in mind, it's actually very possible that Quaritch did the same thing. Nobody can be sure of exactly how or why this might be, but hey, it's a sci-fi. They'll figure out the sciencey stuff somehow, we guess. With this explanation, a Na'vi villain makes sense. It ties in with the trailer. There's armies of Na'vi soldiers stretching over miles. Don't know about you, but they seem pretty mad. And by the looks of it, the really fishy Quaritch doppelganger is their leader. A Na'vi versus Na'vi showdown is pretty likely, guys. Specifically, a reunion between Jake and Quaritch, who are both fully Na'vi. We wonder how that'll play out. Okay, yeah, it's bound to get ugly there. And now there are some humans in the mix. Okay, let's not forget we're part of this story too. In the first movie, it was pretty obvious that humans wanted to colonize Pandora for unobtanium. No sugarcoating there. It's safe to assume that the greed for minerals didn't just stop there. On top of all that, the trailer actually shows us the Na'vi joining forces with the RDA. Crazy, right? Plus, it doesn't help that James Cameron confirmed the return of Quaritch and Selfridge in the second movie. Why the Na'vi would team up with the colonizer, we don't know yet, but it does make sense, and we'll tell you how. Just because the RDA retreated once from Pandora doesn't mean they won't come back again. After Jake and Scully stayed back, it's very likely that the RDA sent more expeditions. Maybe to mend relations? Scientific research? Okay, that's giving humans way too much benefit of doubt. No one knows ulterior motives and greed like humans do. The humans that stayed back on Pandora, mainly Max and Norm, could have rebuilt RDA on Pandora in a way that brings the two species together. Maybe they could be exploring Pandora's oceans. Or maybe, just maybe, the RDA's evil plans are taking action. They might as well be fighting against the RDA again. The movie is set 10 years later after all. That's enough time to plan a devious scheme to divide the planet, don't you think? Next, Quaritch, a likely contender. There's so many possibilities. The villain could be humans, Na'vi, or like Quaritch, a mixture of both. Let's not forget the irony of Quaritch transferring his soul into a Na'vi body. He's the textbook definition of a colonizer. Getting rid of that human superiority would be kinda hard for him, no? His motivation for doing this is unclear, and we'll have to wait to see what he's all about after 10 years. Stephen Lang, the actor who plays him, has revealed a little about his character in Avatar 2, and it's definitely got us thinking Quaritch might be the bad guy. According to Lang, Quaritch has gone through a really fascinating character arc. He hasn't spilled any details, smartly so. How else do you keep an audience on their toes? Anyway, he also said that we might see a lot of development in his personality. What kind? We can't be too sure. Lang might have said that in a positive way, but he also added that we'll see Quaritch regressing into his past self a lot. His past self was the villain in the first movie. You do the math. Lang has also said that he's way leaner in the new Avatar movies, so Quaritch will be a deadly villain man, that's for sure. Well, we were never unsure about it, but his jacked up physique's like the cherry on top of a maniacal sundae. Let's discuss some other hybrid identities. Quaritch aside, the trailer hints at a lot of newer faces that we haven't seen before. Yep, we're talking about Jake and Neytiri's son. From afar, you see him running as fast as his Na'vi siblings, but there's something recognizably different. He's human. Well, mixed would be a better word for it, but his skin's not the trademark Na'vi blue. This obviously leads to the big question of the relationship between the Na'vi and the human race. The natives of Pandora, rightly so, are very wary of humans. Jake himself transferred into a Na'vi body permanently to make a life with Neytiri, so why does their son not look like them? His name's Miles, for one. He was born in Hell's Gate in Pandora, which is where the humans set up camp for years on Pandora. Of course they'd have kids there. Miles is one of them, and by the end of the first movie, Jake offers to adopt him because he's too weak to go back to Earth. Now, with that memory jog, think about what this means for humans on Pandora. Though the trailer doesn't tell us how the Na'vi treat Miles, we can't assume there won't be tension. If an alien species raided your planet and drained its minerals, you'd be pissed off too. Since the second movie is going to be almost 3 hours long, it's safe to expect some backstory for Miles. This might just tie into how humans are viewed on Pandora and the involvement of the RDA. What's more is, there's a scene where there's a lot of human-like construction happening. Yellow hard hats, workers, wood, all of that. 2 Na'vi men are walking through the site, possibly inspecting it. You can't miss it. The lighting is pretty earthy too. You'd think it was a scene on our planet if you didn't see the Na'vi. This can be a hint at how humans, the RDA to be specific, have already set up development sites on Pandora and are trying to excavate minerals. Plus, that super cool shot of Jake riding on a water dragon creature with a machine gun is pretty telling. He's using human tech. Humans must be around on Pandora, and they're never all that friendly. Finally, we have dangerous waters. Since the movie's called Avatar: The Way of Water, we're pretty sure humans are exploring the depths of Pandora's oceans. The trailer shows us a bright-eyed Na'vi swimming underwater, eyes full of wonder. What lies under the oceans of Pandora, we don't know, but by the trailer, it seems pretty awesome. Of course, humans will want to steal it. That's what they did in the first movie with unobtanium, and they won't stop anytime soon. The rest of the Avatar franchise, which will stretch on for 4 more movies, will probably deal with such wide themes. You know, human greed, climate change, lust for power, nothing we aren't familiar with. Looking at our own histories on Earth, we can deduce what kind of dangers the planet of Pandora is going to face. Whether it's Quaritch in a Na'vi body, inter-Na'vi conflict, or plain old human destruction, the one driving force behind all of this is human greed. That's what the Avatar franchise is all about. That's all for today's video, guys. What do you think? Is the main villain of Avatar 2 going to be a Na'vi, a human, or something else altogether? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons, and we'll see you in the next video.